Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. Week 6 of the legislature begins with some breaking news, and he's got the rundown.
When Secretary of State Dean Heller wants to enforce the elections laws, he needs to use the Attorney General. What happens if the Attorney General doesn't do her job? Today we talked to Secretary of State Dean Heller about Attorney General Frankie Sue Del Papa. And Joe Neal wants to raise the gaming taxes. Does that come as a surprise to anyone? Today we find out why. Sam?
Thanks, Andy. And on the pundit panel today, Martha Gould, Greg Ferraro from R&R Partners, and District Attorney Dick Gammick. It's all coming up next on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
Today's lesson, another reason to take the Gold Rush Club Card Challenge. With the Gold Rush Card, you really have 3 cards in one. Use your cash back. You still keep your comps and drawing tickets. Use your comps. You still keep your cash and drawing tickets. And with your drawing tickets, you could win thousands in cold hard cash every week and still keep your cash back and comps. Does your club add up? Graduate to the Gold Rush Players Club. It's the smart thing to do. The Gold Dust West, south on Keystone, east on 4th.
Folks, you must see what's new in Virginia City. Ride the V&T train all the way to Gold Hill. Explore a mine, if you dare. Visit Piper's Opera House. Watch the gunslingers shoot it up on C Street. Shop in unique stores. Listen to honky tonk in the historic saloons. You can't see it all in one day, so spend the night. Virginia City, where the West comes alive. Come up and spend the night in our hotels, motels, and RV park.
When he was just a young boy, Ken Dillon laid back, looked up at the stars, and thought to himself, hey, this house could use a roof. Today, Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal offers a complete line of Firestone roofing products for any type of roof, from commercial to industrial and residential. With a Firestone roof from D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal, what's overhead stays overhead. Call Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal today for a free estimate. Yes, the technology sure has changed, but after all these years, Ken still enjoys playing with houses.
Feel it, the magic is everywhere. The action, the style, the food, the flair. Play with us, stay with us in Reno, say El Dorado, and live the excitement. El Dorado, Reno shining star. Live the excitement.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad, political analyst Ande Engleman on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the News 4 Broadcast Center, here's Sam Shad.
Secretary of State Dean Heller issued a press release this morning that says that the former Attorney General dropped the ball on contributions and expenses reports enforcement. And he will explain what that means.
Every candidate is required to file a campaign disclosure report with the Secretary of State, Dean Heller. When those reports don't come into your office on time, what happens?
We go after them. The purpose of the Secretary of State's office is to make sure that the public has a right to know where candidates get their contributions and where they spend their money. And when they don't file these reports, we go after them.
Okay, what was the reason for issuing this report?
Well, we have about 1,200 people that file for office every election cycle, and a high percentage of them, over 200 this time, decided that they were either going to file late or they weren't going to file at all. Some of them are, in fact, sitting legislators, as have been reported on this show in the past. And so we go after them. We ask them to pay their fine or to make good with our office. Most of them do. We came up with about 60 of them that refused to pay their fines or penalties or refused to file at all. So we sent that over to the Attorney General's office, whose job job is to prosecute.
This was Frankie Sue Del Papa.
This was Frankie Sue Del Papa, yes.
Attorney General.
So this has been happening in the last 2 years. Obviously, we have a new Attorney General that just came into office in January, so a lot of it doesn't fall at his feet. But in my discussions with the new Attorney General, he apologizes profusely, and he says that he is very concerned and does believe that the office did drop the ball on this issue.
All right, because they didn't enforce the law, and there's a statute of limitations, what, that has now run out? Is that the problem?
Yeah, we have over $80,000 in fines that did run out. There were 15 people that that they had not filed against. In other words, they took 18 of those. Let me start over. There were 60 that were sent over there. They sent letters out. We're able to collect on some of them. We're down to about 33 of them. 18 of them they filed in court. 15 they decided to do nothing with. And so that's where the statutes ran out. We're on those 15.
Clearly, we don't know why Frankie Sue Del Papa didn't pursue this 15 people's charges and fines and so forth, but what are the charges that can be brought against her? Misfeasance of office?
You know, that's a good question. That's a question that's been raised between myself and Attorney General Sandoval as to whether or not what kind of steps should be taken to rectify this. I do know that those attorneys in his office that were involved in this case, they will be disciplined, and he also plans on taking some of this issue to the state bar.
Okay, what has happened in the past prior to Frankie Sue Del Papa being the Attorney General?
What do you mean?
Were these kind of things overlooked in the past? Was the ball dropped before?
Actually, these laws were enacted while she was Attorney General for those 12 years, and so the enforcement of this has been very heavily pushed by my office. We put hundreds of hours into this to make sure that these candidates disclose to the public so that the public has informed decisions when they do go to the voting booth. But these laws came into place while she was Attorney General, and most of them while I was Secretary of State, and so we've been very, very dutifully pushing these laws.
And let me ask you one other question. A lot of times in politics, Mr. Secretary, these things would be swept under the rug.
Right.
Why are you going public with this?
Because it's not fair. The message is wrong. We try to treat everybody fairly. My office tries to treat everybody fairly. What the message that we're sending here now is that if you wait long enough and don't pay your fines and don't file, if you wait long enough, the Attorney General's office won't do anything, the statute of limitations will come, and you don't have to do anything at all. I'm very concerned what kind of message this is sending, and that we'll have sitting legislators and people that want to legislate in the future at all levels, federal, state, and local governments, that will say, hey, I don't have to fill these at all because look at what has happened in the past.
Okay, I'm going to throw something at you, and I apologize, I'm being the devil's advocate here. I talked to several different people yesterday, and they said that this is going to get you statewide publicity today and the next couple of days, and that perhaps you have aspirations to one day take the governor's seat, and this raises your profile. How do you respond to that?
Well, I mean, those are easy comments to make. Again, in my time and effort as being Secretary of State for the last 8 years, it's incredibly important to me to make sure that everybody gets treated fairly. I'll have some detractors out there that say this is just a publicity stunt, but I think the general public and frankly the sitting Attorney General does understand that this is a very serious matter.
What kind of dollar figure are we looking at for the ones?
Over $80,000 in fines and fees that are to be paid by these candidates that they have refused to do so.
And over how many candidates?
15 in this case.
Secretary, thank you very much indeed for being here. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Andy.
it,
Thank
as
you,
always.
Sam.
Thank you. And we'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this timeout.
CTX can help you negotiate your best deal. We've been your home team advantage for over a decade. Call us today because at CTX, local service still matters.
Yeah, with CTX, you're homeward bound.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo Free Checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. 7 award-winning dining choices. Experience the Atlantis Seafood Steakhouse tonight. Winner of Wine Spectator's Award of Excellence. The local choice for food and fun, Atlantis.
Atlantis.
At Sushi Club, everybody's family. That's what makes dining here so much fun. The sushi is consistently better, the atmosphere is great, and the service is wonderful.
Welcome to the bigger and better Sushi Club. Come in for our delicious daily specials.
When you're talking sushi, you're talking Sushi Club in the Independence Square Shopping Center.
Personal injury lawyers want you to think there's no health care crisis. But here's what real mothers have to say.
There is a crisis in Nevada.
Every doctor I called turned me away.
My daughter had to go to California for her prenatal care.
Now I need surgery, and I don't have a doctor.
We have to fight to keep our doctors in Nevada.
Don't let personal injury lawyers drive more doctors out of Nevada. Call 800-784-4730. Tell your legislator to keep our doctors in Nevada.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
State Senator Joe Neal has been in office for 31 years. He'd like to see a 4% increase in the gaming tax. Barbano is with us this morning. He has run the last two campaigns for governor for Senator Neal, and he is also a lobbyist for Silver State Casinos out of politics.
Good morning, Senator. Thank you for being with us. Andrew, thank you for being here. Senator, that's quite a hefty tax hike you want on the casino industry. Isn't this the wrong time to do that? Aren't they suffering?
No, they're not. In fact, the gamers would tell you that they're suffering, but when you look at their stock increases beginning with September 11th, they had a slight dip and they had a precipitous rise ever since. So, no, they're not suffering.
And one thing you have to look at is that they cooked the books just in time for Senator Neal's initiative petition in January of 2000. The state gaming abstract was actually delayed while they cooked the books and started attributing expenses for foreign jurisdictions for their operations in other states to Nevada as a way to understate their profits, and that has continued.
When you say cook the books, are you talking about the Gaming Control Board fixing numbers or doing something wrong?
The gambling industry had never charged expenses from out-of-state operations against its Nevada operations before, and they started doing it in January of 2000, and it caused the delay of the state gaming abstract to come out, and the casinos pushed for that and started doing it. It had not been done before.
Well, is it something illegal?
I don't think it's illegal, but it's simply creative accounting.
Okay, Senator, 4% is a big jump. As a negotiator myself, I would always put a number out there that's high and see where we can land in the middle. At this point, it's 0.25 from the casino industry, but they say at this point they're the only ones that are actually offering to tax themselves. Where do you think it's going to end up, realistically?
I hope that it end up with the 4%.
I know what you hope, but where do you think?
Well, let me tell you the reason why. Because gaming is different from any other industry. You have to tax gaming in proportion to the problems that it causes. Gaming has hidden costs such as gaming addiction, the tourists that comes in here. We have about 40 million tourists come here each year for the last 2 years. When they utilize resources such as water, roads, police protection, health care, etc. And when we do not tax gaming in proportion to those costs, then that cost falls upon the individual who live here, the permanent population of about 2 million people. And so we have to look at it from that particular standpoint. Then again, gaming is an industry that does not produce a product. All other industry that you deal with in this state that come here, big corporation, have some type of product they sell. Gaming's product is an empty pocket. So you have to tax gaming in proportion to the problems that it causes. That which we have not done, we have let it become a dominant industry in the southern Nevada area, and therefore we are suffering as a result of that because we have not taxed them sufficient to the problems that they cause in that area.
Senator, when mining caused problems with the environment, they passed a law mandating that they clean it up. Why don't we have a separate law ordering gaming to address some of these problems?
Well, you have to get the gaming through the taxation because gaming is a money-intensive operation. Not like mining. Mining, they extract minerals, and then they process it, then they sell it on the open market. Gaming is money intensive, a dollar for a dollar. So what you have then is a situation where gaming has now gotten to the point where it's extracting money from the core community, not just the tourists. You got the station casinos who spread it all out in the residential communities. They're extracting money from those residents. So we have to look at those particular problems. As I referred to the gaming addiction, we just had a report that come out from Southern Nevada.
From UNLV?
Yes, UNLV, that said that gaming addiction was between 300 and $459 million cost to the state.
Senator,
That's just in that area.
I read an article on that, and what concerned me about that was that there were a lot of social ills that were being blamed on gaming. That basically, I think there are a lot of people out there who are going to suffer from problems, go out and steal, rob, have alcohol problems. They are people who have an addictive personality towards anything, and so even if you didn't have gaming there, those people would be a problem. Is it really fair to put that on the gaming industry?
But the study was done based on the people who actually gamble, people who had problems, and asked them why did they have these problems. We had a situation in the Las Vegas area where we had a policeman that went out and robbed a coin player because he had a gaming addiction problem. He used that as his defense, in his trial. Of course, he did not win on that. He was convicted. But the $40,000 or $50,000 a year that has to be paid to keep him in prison now comes from the public, not from the gaming industry.
And more to the point, 4 years ago, the Nevada Commission on Economic Development, the Gwen Hunt administration, published a study that says the root cause of Nevada's fiscal problems today is the wholesale creation of low-wage casino jobs. You can go to joeneal.org and read the study for yourself.
Okay, gentlemen, that's our time. Thanks so much. We'll be back on Nevada Newsmakers after this timeout.
Take a break and treat the family to breakfast, lunch, or dinner at Tamarack Junction. Enjoy pasta night on Wednesdays, Mexican on Thursdays, and seafood on Fridays. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amani Ranch Parkway.
When he was just a young boy, Ken Dillon laid back, looked up at the stars, and thought to himself, hey, this house could use a roof. Today, Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal offers a complete line of elk roofing products for any type of residential roof. With an elk roof from D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal, what's overhead stays overhead. Call Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal today for a free estimate. Yes, the technology sure has changed, but after all these years, Ken still enjoys playing with houses.
We've loosened our machines. We've given you the Gold Dust West Gold Rush Club, Reno's best slot club. You can win lots of jackpots. Play longer. Your points will add up faster than you think. Yeah, we're loose and we're not screwing around. See you at the Gold Dust West, south on Keystone, east on 4th.
Folks, you must see what's new in Virginia City. Ride the V&T train all the way to Gold Hill. Explore a mine, if you dare. Visit Piper's Opera House. Watch the gunslingers shoot it up on C Street. Shop in unique stores. Listen to honky tonk in the historic saloons. You can't see it all in one day, so spend the night. Virginia City, where the West comes alive. Come up and spend the night in our hotels, motels, and RV park.
At Tamarack Junction, you can take advantage of fabulous food around the clock. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, give the oven and yourself a rest. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amani Ranch Parkway.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
I got my asbestos gloves ready for this segment. All right, you start out, Ande, and then I'm going to duck.
All right, first of all, I need to disclose...
Actually, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I need to disclose that 5 years ago I worked for the Secretary of State, Dean Heller. And I also want to say that we have invited Frankie Sue Del Papa to be on the show. She has not responded to us yet. She's not here today. But at any time at her convenience, she's welcome to come on the show.
And let me introduce the pundits here. Dick Gammick, District Attorney, Martha Gould, and Greg Ferraro with R&R Partners. Okay, Ande, you can start here.
All right. I think I'm in the minority here. I happen to think that when Frankie Sue Del Papa doesn't enforce the law and it costs the taxpayers of this state $80,000 and they're going to have to pay more taxes, that's appalling.
Ande, if this, first of all, other agencies don't do what they're supposed to do.
Oh, so we don't have to follow the law
because
somebody else
doesn't? They don't follow the law. So don't just point to one person. Don't do a witch hunt. If agencies all follow the law and their agency heads follow the law, then more taxes would be correctly collected, and fines and fees.
Which other agencies are not collecting?
Well, I've heard some interesting stories.
Start with the courts.
The courts. I've also heard about the State Department of Taxation, which is not doing all the things they should do. So don't point fingers until we know both sides of the story, no witch hunts.
Well, we did call her. We tried to get both sides of the story. She chose to not be here today.
I think
Don't say she chose not to be here, because you don't know that. She will, I am
Sam
sure,
talked
get
to
into
her yesterday.
But
She chose.
she didn't give.
She did not know what the issue was.
Maybe she just is waiting to collect the information so she knows what she's being charged with. No witch hunts, okay?
That's what I want. Let's keep this thing in perspective. I understand there were 33 people to start with on this. They were turned over to the, actually started at 200.
Right.
Then it went to 33 that were
Now
actually
it's to
submitted.
15.
And the Attorney General filed on 18 of those. And now we've got 15 that the Attorney General did not file on. What are the facts? I mean, I think that's the first thing you have to know, and that hasn't been put out by the Secretary of State's office. I'm going to assume, since more than half of them were filed on, that they were reviewed, and as a prosecutor, we have absolute discretion on what we can't do and do not file.
Maybe
We're
I
not
can weigh in here.
required to file anything. It's not the KGB
You
here.
know, I suspect that the Secretary of State's discharging his duties as he's supposed to according to the law. I agree with the district attorney. I don't think all the facts are out. But I will say this. I think this is a non-issue. I don't think the public cares. I don't think that the public cares about campaign finance reform in general, and specifically about the enforcement of it, regardless of whether or not this is a legitimate case or not. I'll leave that to the lawyers. I don't think the public engages on this, especially in the context of all the other issues that we've got to talk about.
And is this not the first salvo in the next general election campaign for governor here?
Not necessarily.
Why would you say that?
Not necessarily. We don't know that Jim Gibbons could be running for governor.
Yeah, I don't know that.
No, I'm talking about Dean Heller's.
I don't know
Yeah,
that
well, no.
Dean Heller is motivated
Right.
by
I don't
politics in this. I mean, that's a long time.
Dean Heller obviously believes in this.
Yeah,
and has
I
for
just
many
tell you
years.
that I don't think, as we sit here and spend majority of this segment on this subject, that the public cares that much.
Well, I think the public cares that when $80,000, which is a small amount overall, doesn't go into the general fund and they have to pay higher taxes,
And maybe the public
they care
should
about
care
that.
about the fact that the courts aren't collecting the fines
agree.
due. Maybe they should care about how the State Department of Taxation operates.
Right, so then we get, is the governor doing everything he can to bring the revenues in? Dick, are you doing everything in your office you can to bring revenues in for Washoe County?
For the staff we have and for what our responsibilities are, yes, because I've got one person who does that very thing, goes out and tries to collect money and take care of it and get the things in we're supposed to have.
And
Unfortunately,
it's not that
we
easy.
don't have a system set up with the courts and with the State Department of Taxation and people like that to do this. At one time, Washoe County even went out and contracted with some people to go collect it, and they kept part of the funding, which is a way to approach it. I mean, part of the pie is better than no pie, and at one time they even hired a full-time person to do this, to collect these fees.
Dick, is there selective enforcement? Are you allowed any leeway in how you enforce the law?
Do you let some people
absolutely. We have absolute discretion as prosecutors, and as the Attorney General does, and it has to be that way. You start mandating what we will and will not, then you forget the facts of the cases and the decisions that have to be made.
I think history will reflect that the second oldest profession in the world has always had trouble collecting.
All right, I think
want to
that's
tax them.
I think that's where we move on. Okay, Joe Neal,
Thank
still
God.
shooting for that 10.25%. He's not going to get anywhere near that. But Dick Gammick, Mills Lane, when he was on the bench, used to say to people that they couldn't blame everything on all the things that had happened in their past. They had to take responsibility for themselves. In this study from UNLV, at least from the portions that I've read, it seems like an awful lot of things are being shunted onto gaming, that perhaps these people would have done these things anyway. They would have committed crimes. They would have got themselves into other forms of addiction or problems.
Gaming's an industry, and gaming's an industry that we've had here. And one thing that I wanted to mention that Senator Neal mentioned is we have accepted gaming and worked with it and let it dominate us. Senator Neal, I'd like to correct that. Las Vegas wouldn't be there if it wasn't for gaming. That's the only industry that built Las Vegas in the southern part of the state. So it has been a big industry in this state for over 70 years now. And it has things that come along with it that are inherent, but so do a lot of other businesses. We've got one of the cleanest gaming businesses in this state that's been seen in the world ever when you start this kind of stuff, with all the enforcement, with all the different checks and balances and levels that we have in this state. It's actually done very well.
When we talk about taxes, and then let's take it from another point of view, let's talk about revenue sources to run government, and I don't think you can point to one particular industry. There is only one stable source of revenue to run government. Whether we like it or not, in this state it happens to be the property tax.
Certainly tourism and gaming can't be called a stable source for taxes.
Absolutely not. So If you're going to look at changing how we fund government, then we're going to have to go back to square one, not take a Band-Aid approach, especially in terms of taxing the ladies of the night. That will make us the laughingstock of the world. We have to go back and think in terms of, do we raise the cap? Do we look at how we assess taxes? What do we do about the depreciation? I mean, these are all issues.
Greg, do you disagree with anything Martha has
No, I think Martha's said it correctly. I would just offer this, that the problems that Senator Neal is trying to correct, ironically, would be subverted and undermined if his tax were to go into effect. The same people that he's trying to help would be hurt even further if this kind of tax went in, because people would begin to lose jobs, casinos would close, and our whole Medicaid roll problem would swell.
Because we're running out of time. Let me interrupt you. I'm sorry, but the one thing Barbano said about this.
You're asking me to respond to Barbano?
The cooking the books, the cooking the books issue.
It's ridiculous.
You don't think that they're bringing in numbers?
It's absolutely patently ridiculous.
Okay, it's not true.
It's silly.
I think he made that point. We'll take a break. We'll be right back here on Nevada Newsmakers.
If you're talking sushi, you're talking Sushi Club. Year after year voted the best place for sushi. 11 chefs on staff to serve you. Better ingredients for consistent high quality. And lots of room, so bring your friends. Sushi Club in the Independence Square Shopping Center.
Feel it, the magic is everywhere. The action, the style, the food, the flair. Play with us, stay with us in Reno, say El Dorado. And live the excitement. El Dorado, Reno shining star. Live the excitement.
CTX can help you negotiate your best deal. We've been your home team advantage for over a decade. Call us today, because at CTX, local service still matters.
Yeah, with CTX, you're homeward bound.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo Free Checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, consistently voted Reno's best buffet by locals. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch.
Atlantis.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
The only thing not on tomorrow's show would be death.
Well, that's true, because we're going to have taxes, and we're also going to have gaming, and that's not so very certain. We're going to have Dr. William Eatington talking about gaming's future ability to pay, and Phil Satry, chair of Harrah's Entertainment, is going to be here.
Interesting, because Harrah's both operates casinos in the state of Nevada and outside the state of Nevada. We'll see you tomorrow.